joining us today for another episode of What's Your Why Wednesday. Today, I am joined by the amazing Stephanie Cohen. She is the National Account Sales Executive at First American Mortgage Solutions. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today. And I know you're newer to the mortgage industry. And one of the conclusions that we've made after years of speaking about this is that the majority of us did not intentionally come into our industry. And we also have realized that the work that we do ties to our personal why. So at this moment, we would love to hear two things. One, what is your why? And two, how did you come into our wonderful industry?
Yeah, you got it, Laura. Well, first, thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. It's folks like you that ultimately make this industry what it is, and giving folks the exposure and the ability to kind of share their experience, I think is fantastic. So I appreciate that. Ultimately, my why is like so many others. My why is my family. My husband, my three kids. They're really the reason I do what I do. I want to provide a life for my kids that's full of experiences and opportunities and really everything that they deserve. And this industry has really kind of, provided me the platform to do it. But I didn't realize that until I really came on the scene about a year and a half ago. My background was actually in insurance. So, my husband and I I fell into the insurance industry by accident, which ultimately led me to fall into the title insurance industry by accident. We come from a dual working household. It's my husband and I, we both work. We started off this way because we didn't have anything when we first, got married. So it was the two of us against the world, and it's a juggle and always has been, of partnership and teamwork and sacrifice. But at the end of the day, you really kind of do what you need to do to make your own reality. So I was in the insurance industry, and it was during COVID. So here we are, two working parents in a house with three young kids, a 2-year-old, a kindergartner, and a second grader, not really realizing, what's going on in the world, what is happening. We're in the middle of this pandemic, and we're just trying to survive. We're trying to virtually school, and we're trying to, work and keep our head on straight. And I'll tell you what, it was a challenge. And then in the middle of that, I was working for First American in their property and casualty, their home insurance division. And at that time, they decided, they were like, hey, we're going to focus on our core businesses, and we're going to, divest the property and casualty division, and we're going to transfer you into title insurance. And I'm like, well, one, I'm so glad, that I still have a job, because that was absolutely terrifying to get that news in the middle of a global pandemic when, all of my little kids are relying on me and looking to me to be like, you're everything. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess this is what I'm going to do. First American's going to transfer me. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm going to figure it out. And Laura, the timing of this was January of 2021, yeah. And everything was on fire. Okay. This is the height of the boom. Everybody was burnt out. Everybody was overwhelmed. I was learning the industry. I was trying to figure it out. And I'm not kidding. I probably cried myself to sleep for the first 3 months. I was like, okay, here I am. Title insurance is not property and casualty. That I knew. I'd been doing that for 10 years. This is all brand new to me. I was so scared. I was like, what did I do? I am a fish out of water. And I looked to my kids, and I looked to my husband, and my poor husband's like, I've never seen you like this before. You're a survivor. You can handle just about anything. Like, you've got this. And I remember the turning point for me was I went to my first conference. Finally, things were starting to open up after COVID, and there was life outside my house and my kids. And here I was, like, immersed in a group of mortgage folks at this conference, and I realized, all of these folks, their why really aligns with mine. Everybody in this industry, like you said at the beginning of this call, really kind of ended up here by accident. You either end up in the industry by family, or you end up here by accident. And we all have this common goal, right? Which is to, create an American dream for folks just like us who are doing this, for their families, to create their own reality. And it was inspiring. And so I really, I grasped onto it and realized that the people are what make this industry so great. And it made me realize that you can do anything you put your mind to in this industry. And I just started networking like crazy. I was like, this is what drives me. And the people in this industry are so willing to help, and they're willing to lift you up and to make introductions and to tell you their story and their struggles. And I was on a mission. I was like, I am going to know my customer, because my customer are the people that that make this industry what it is, and are the people that are inspiring me to keep going and to figure it out. Because at the end of the day, I'm looking at my kids, and I'm like, I've got to, this is survival for me. And I started, I threw myself in, I threw myself in. I started going to every networking event that I could, every conference I could, any women's group or webinar, or any chance I could to be known and to get to know people. I was going to do it. And that actually kind of leads into, the challenge, right, of being a woman whose why is her family and her kids. And it's that balance. I'm gone a lot, I'm traveling a lot, and you get a lot of those questions, who's home with the kids, or, oh, don't you miss them? And, I realize, every moment that I'm away from them, I'm missing out on those moments. But at the same time, they're proud, of mom, they're proud of mom. They see me, out there working. They see, late nights, they see early mornings, they see, mom being fulfilled from what she's doing. And they see the confidence it brings me, which then in turn instills confidence in them. So it's kind of why I do what I do. But also it takes me away from them at the same time. So it's a challenge there. So I'm sure so many women that are probably listening to this probably think, oh my gosh, yes, no, the same thing. But in this job or in this industry, you can really kind of pick the seasons, right, in which you tailor your focus. And some are going to be a little bit heavier, like conference season, it's a little bit heavier work. And then when it's not conference season, it's a little bit heavier family. But regardless, I make sure that I don't miss anything with them. And my husband is so fantastic as far as being a partner for me to do what I need to do in order to be successful in this job. I couldn't do it without him.
Absolutely.
He pulls the extra weight at home.
Yep.
Which is,
well, it's that
yep.
partnership, like you had said. All right.
Yep.
So a couple of things. So number one, having you share your thoughts of a newer person into the industry and hearing your perspective makes me very happy. Because from someone that has been in the mortgage industry practically my whole adult life. I started when I was 21 years old. So pretty much my entire life as an adult has been in the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
And I can honestly tell you that wasn't always the case. There were seasons of the mortgage industry that I witnessed that I've actually told this story. I was almost embarrassed to say I was in the mortgage industry years ago, many years ago. Now, since the financial subprime crash, a lot of that has changed. A lot of people that were that season of the mortgage industry left. They got out of the industry because the laws got tighter and there were more limitations and restrictions to protect and to make our industry better. So thankfully, the people that stuck around or the new people that came in after that time is kind of seeing a cleansing of our industry to where, yes, I feel it's only getting better. I feel that every single day we are seeing new people come onto the scene and really raising the bar and continuing to see new faces and new voices and new perspectives, which of course, like I said, since I've seen so much of it, it makes me very, very happy. So I'm so happy that you're seeing the great side of the industry. And I agree with you. It's completely, people are so eager to share and to help and to support. So it is wonderful that you are experiencing that, because that makes me very proud of this wonderful industry that we are blessed to be able to share in. All right. The part about being away from your kids, it's actually funny. I can always remember I was at a women's event once, and I was running this women's event, and they were doing a panel discussion. And the panel discussion was all women that have younger children, and they were having a discussion about work-life harmony. And a lot of the women were speaking about guilt. And I had to literally stand up at this moment because I felt so bad for the women and how much pressure was on their shoulders and how much weight, and guilt was on them. And I had to stand up because with me being at the other spectrum where my kids are grown, I, of course, had the same feelings. I, of course, had the same level of guilt. I had all of that. And I can honestly tell you, you nailed it when you said that your kids are so proud of you and your kids get to witness you. I can assure you, for anyone listening out there, your kids are watching everything. Your kids are listening. They're watching, they're paying attention. And fast forward 10, 15 years, they absolutely will tell you how proud of you they are. And the fact that they know that you were there when it mattered. You were there when it was vital. Sure, maybe you're not there every single moment in time. That would be very difficult. But as long as you're in that partnership, whether that partnership, listen, it could be your parents that help you out. It could be your great friends. It could be whatever
a support
network
system.
Support system. Whatever that, and you need that support system. We all need it. As long as you have that, I promise you, your kids are getting so much. They're getting the best of you because you feel good and you're confident and you feel fulfilled. So you're even a better version of yourself to them because of the work you do. So I'm so happy to hear that part of it. Okay, now the networking piece. So Stephanie, you and I, it's funny that when Taylor actually recommended that we have you on, and he's so wonderful because he'll be like, Laura, this person is awesome. You should hear their story. And I love him for that. But when he mentioned your name, I already knew who you were. And you've done such an amazing job of getting out there and networking and getting your name and your brand and who you're associated to and the company and the work that you do, that we share that with everyone that's listening. We all have to do that. It creates you as an authority. It creates your credibility. It creates your personal and professional brand that we all need to have. We are in a digital world and we need to have a digital presence. Now, you want to partner that with one-on-one interaction at conferences and appointments and things like that too.
Absolutely.
But it needs to start with digital and then you make it even stronger when you meet face to face. So,
You bet.
all right. So with that, all right, you've made your impact. You're making a difference professionally and personally. You're doing a great job of getting out there and marketing and diving into the industry. You certainly, I want to hear, what did you learn by joining our industry during, I say it was the best and the worst of time. It was the
Oh, you
best
got
because
it.
of the volume, but it was the worst because of how chaotic it was.
So chaotic.
What were some things that you learned from that?
The things that I really learned are, in saying that I came in at, the best and the worst, right? The height. I feel like that caused me to really put myself out there in a way that I might not have had it not been such a chaotic time. I knew I was in survival mode. I had to go, I had to make it happen. So getting so involved in putting myself out there, getting to meet as many people as possible without really knowing much, and just going to events, and utilizing LinkedIn. I like to talk about that because I'm very active on LinkedIn when it comes to going out and being active at these events, at conferences and things. I've learned that that is such a fantastic tool to use to expand your reach, get to know people. They will welcome you with open arms. It's the thing that I have really, the main takeaway is to just do it. Just do it. Just put yourself out there, get to know the person, right? And they will in turn welcome you and help you. And it might not be somebody that necessarily you will work with immediately. I mean, look at you and I.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily work together, but I look up to you. You're inspiring, and I have had people come to me and say, hey, oh my gosh, I see you. You're out there. You're everywhere. I follow your LinkedIn posts.
Yep.
And I need to do more like this. And I'm like, wow, all the people that I put myself out there to meet, that I was inspired by, are now being inspired by me.
Isn't that lovely?
This
Isn't
is
that so
really
awesome?
neat. Absolutely. Utilize your network, meet people, put yourself out there, do it wholeheartedly, and be authentically yourself. And that's the one thing that I think is just so incredibly important, is to take your why, channel it, be who you are, and don't be afraid to show it to the world, show it to the industry, because people want to be around people that they like and that they feel are real. And even though this is work, right? This is business. It's a business of people.
It is.
And we're in the business of helping people. So put yourself out there and we all help each other. And
Yeah.
don't be afraid to utilize your social media. Don't be afraid to utilize your social networking, because to your point, it is very a digital and a human in-person experience, and it needs to be a marriage of both. And the possibilities are absolutely endless. This industry takes the ceiling and just removes it. You just need two things.
It's changed so much, Stephanie, because years ago there wasn't such a thing as social media, right? So the only way that you really got to know people, and honestly, Stephanie, if we speak about the women's side, the reason why women weren't on a level playing field is because a lot of times as a woman, especially with young children, it was difficult to travel, especially if you didn't have the support system. So what would happen is, back then, before there was social, you were very limited, because if you weren't at the shows, if you weren't meeting in person, if you weren't going to conferences or one-on-one meetings, you weren't out there. No one knew who you were. But that's changed. That has completely changed, because even if you can't make it to the conferences, you can still be at that social presence, and you can still have that digital branding, and you can still be building up your authority and your credentials online. So there is no limit, to your point. There is no limit, and there's no excuse. I also like to do that. There's no excuse, because everyone can be themselves. No one's saying you have to go and spend thousands of dollars on a studio, or you need to get
Right.
equipment or anything else. No, if you're someone that's not comfortable with video, that's fine. Then type, use the written word, share your thoughts and your insights with a written word. If you're someone that would rather speak it, then do it through a video, or do it through audio, or do it through imagery. Get a meme. I mean, anything, right? There's so many different ways you can do it. But
You
at the
bet.
end of the day, to your point, it just has to be yourself.
Yep.
Whatever way you're comfortable. Again, if you're someone that can write a beautiful, repertoire there, by all means, do use your gifts and be yourself, because to your point, people want to do business with, we all know, like, and trust.
You bet.
People they know, like, and trust. And I'm sure you're experiencing the same thing that I do, that when you go somewhere, people are like, oh my God, you're Stephanie from LinkedIn, right? Like, people
Yeah.
probably go,
Yes.
right? And people, I know people that I follow, that I know their dog and I know their
Yes,
kids, right?
absolutely.
So it's
Yes.
like, oh, you live in Arizona, I see the cactus, or I say, like, people pay attention to that stuff.
Right.
And they do it because they have an interest, or they have a common bond. There's a similarity that they're connecting to.
Right.
And people want human connection. That's why
Yes.
that's part of, we learned that during the pandemic. We
You
miss
bet.
it. We crave it. We want that human connection. So for everyone out there, listen to Stephanie's story. She's new to our industry. She came in during the craziness of the pandemic and the highest volume. But yes, she was vulnerable with us, and she shared that there was a moment of, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? What did
I wish
just
I had
do?
done it sooner now, though, right? I was there and I was regretting it, but now I'm like, what was I doing with my life? I should have gotten into this industry so much sooner. It's
But
amazing.
it was your time. That
Yes.
was your time that you were supposed to come into it. And so I guess, I think you already answered it. But if someone out there that isn't in our industry, or is newer to our industry, and they're diving in just like you did, they're trying to get information, or they're trying to learn something new, or maybe they've been in it and the cycle turned and they're feeling a little discouraged. Like, Stephanie, what would be your bit of advice to someone? Let's take the discouraged. They've been in the industry and they've came off this high, and now things are, certainly the volume isn't where it was. What would be your piece of advice to someone that maybe is like, all right, this is a little more challenging? What would be your advice?
Lean on your network. Talk to the people that have been in this for 10, 20, 30 years. They've seen this cycle before. They've been at the lowest of the low. They've been there, they've seen it, and they will encourage you and tell you, hey, keep your chin up. This is a time where, it's make or break. And as long as you are true to yourself and you stick to your hustle and your heart, you will get through this. And we will be on the upswing once again. It was actually someone I spoke to recently. I'll give him a shout out, Kevin Caravan from People's Mortgage.
Yeah.
They're local here in Arizona. He and I were chatting, and he's like, you're new. You haven't been through this downturn yet. You haven't seen the downside yet. He's like, it's going to be okay, Steph. Like, you will be fine. And if ever you have a day that you're just feeling discouraged or depressed, because here I am, I'm centralized title and settlement. I'm refi specific, y'all. Yeah. There is nothing to be had.
I think, what did it say? 70% down? I think I heard it this morning. They said, refis are 70% down.
It is the total opposite of what I came into. Yeah. But he's like, give me a call. Like, just call. We'll talk through it. And so anybody that is feeling down and feeling discouraged, all of those people that you have met, all of those people that network that you have created, lean on them. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Be authentic. Pick up the phone. Don't be afraid that somebody's going to judge you or that you're going to fail or what have you. Put yourself out there. That's my number one piece of advice to anyone, either feeling discouraged or even just getting into the industry. Just put yourself out there. Don't be afraid, and lean into it. Lean into the people, embrace them. They will embrace you.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Humans in general, It seems like whenever things get challenging, we pull away. But you're correct. It's the opposite. When things get a little more challenging, we need to get closer to our network. We need to kind of lock arms, right? We have to kind of come together. And the other piece of advice, and you are 100% correct, that sometimes, especially in the mortgage industry, I've seen it so many times, we always think every cycle is going to last forever. Whether it's a good cycle or whether it's a bad cycle, it's kind of like, no, it's over. This is never going to change. I promise you, everyone, I've seen many a cycle. It will change. It will turn. It will go to the other direction. Maybe, listen, 2020 was an anomaly. I don't think that's ever coming back, but
Right.
it will turn and it will go to another cycle and we will get through it together. And
Yep.
Stephanie, your insights are spot on. Thank you for sharing. It's such a joy. We will continue to watch you, celebrate you, and support you on your journey. And we're certainly happy that you found our industry. All the
Thanks
best.
so much, Laura. Really appreciate you.